Okay, g'day David. This is Mike Falls in Melbourne, Australia on a beautiful winter's day. We're going down to the RAAF base at Point Cook for the RAAF Museum to do one of our regular interactive flying displays where we talk to the people, do a short display and then come back. Chris Hunter, one of our young jet pilots, is going to fly down. He's in the process of learning how to fly this aeroplane, and we hope that it shows you what the real thing's like after your marvellous model. Terrific. Chris also does a lot of tiger moth flying. He does joyrides in tiger moths, and he's going to be a test pilot one day. This is the RAAF Museum at Point Cook. It's the stand. You'll see some spectators there later. Coming past in a Bristol freighter, the Australian Air Force operated 4 of these 50 years ago. We call them England's Revenge. This is the main restoration hangar, and this is the flight line. When this was in service as a flying training unit, this was where all the training aircraft trainees were briefed, and the training aircraft were all on this tarmac. This is the main maintenance and restoration hangar of the RAAF Museum at Point Cook. It's our Windshield. Coming up to this aeroplane now, it's a Sopwith Pup, which flies in the interactive displays. That's Chris Hunter, our young trainee Harvard pilot, having a look at it. This aeroplane is very touchy in anything more than about 5 knots of wind, and we've had a couple of minor incidents with it. Over in this corner is a Mosquito. It's about 3 years into a 10-year restoration. It'll be the best one in the world when it's finished. Mike. Thank you, young man. Welcome to Point Cook. I see Point Cook as pretty much a sacred site. I reckon this is, as far as aviators go, it's about as important as it gets. Most of the early flying in Australia took place here nearly 100 years ago. Some of those hangars that you see over on the right-hand side were in fact in place then, and the jetty that goes out into Port Phillip Bay was used to launch some of the frail seaplanes that were some of our earliest machines. This aircraft was pretty much the most universally used advanced training aircraft in World War II. It was developed in the 1930s, and most of the Allied nations used this machine. It was designed to take a young cadet who had been taught the rudiments of flying in a simple elementary aircraft like a tiger moth or a Stearman, and teach him to applied flying that he would use in his service as a military pilot. And it has the characteristics of great training machines, is that it is straightforward to fly, but it's very hard to fly well. And if you can teach people to fly in this, nothing much phases them later on.
They actually toured around southern New South Wales and Victoria looking for a site on a motorbike. Mike has started. He's probably at approaching 100 knots at this stage. You've probably
noticed that crackling sound as the aircraft went past us. That's caused by the canopy up pass, which means that his left wing will be low and you'll be able to look straight across into the office to see Mike sitting there enjoying himself. You'll gain a little bit of altitude.
We're turning the aeroplane around at the moment, and we use a manoeuvre called the jury turn, where we roll the aeroplane underneath, just like this. And change our direction to come down in front of you.
Up and over the top of the loop. Yes, the engine hesitation he's talking about is, in fact, this engine has a carburettor. And of course the float in the carburettor is floating the wrong way when it's upside down. Very well executed slow roll there. We'll now climb again to gain a bit of height prior to entering his next manoeuvre. Be a fairly steep turn off the top of that one. That's it, if you didn't hear it, a Cuban 8 is 2 loops with a roll in between, in the middle. So we go up into the first loop now, hopefully. And as he comes down this side, he will roll out and enter the next loop. Roll commenced. And has sufficient speed to get up and over the top of the next manoeuvre, being another loop. You'll notice that the aircraft is very manoeuvrable. In fact, these manoeuvres he's executing at the moment are all conducted within the boundary of the airfield. See if you can count the number of hesitations. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The world record is a lot better. I think you might be tuning a little bit there.
And for our final manoeuvre, we're going to point the aeroplane towards the airfield, lift it up and have the wheels come out as we pitch up in front of you.
There is a speed limitation in which you can extend the undercarriage, but in doing so...
Traffic heritage harbour display is complete. We're manoeuvring for a low-level lift downwind for the western glass. Heritage harbour.
Okay, Mike's throttle back. Is over the grass. Point Cook is an all-over grass airfield, which means you don't have to use the runways. They were only laid in World War II.
I'll turn on south to 1,500, tracking this northern boundary on area.
Okay. I've never heard so much traffic on the radio as I've heard today. You'll notice the aircraft pulls up fairly shortly on the grass. Reason to use the grass is mainly to conserve wear on the tyres. They are expensive and there's no need to run the full length of the runway anyway. Like you would in a motor car, chances are the heat could cause the brakes to bind.
The question is it maintainable? Yes, it is. It's a very simple aircraft, and there's literally warehouses full of parts that were made 60 and 70 years ago, and you can get new bits for it quicker than you can for a Learjet. And they're very simple and reliable anyway. We are simple folk, us pilots, and we need simple instruments.
So still have the components available?
Yes, they do, and they're a very rugged, easy to maintain aircraft. They're great like that. So there, thank you all very much for coming. We appreciate your attendance, and please tell your friends, and we hope we see you again.